There we go. Bell ringer for today. Here we go. Well, actually, let me go over the activity from yesterday. Political cartoon, and then we'll get to the bell ringer. There it is. There it is. So what do we have here? What do we got? What's going on in this picture? There it is. Let me freeze it, and then I'll go through the questions. Freeze it. Old man Winder. Get it? Get it, Kira? All right. So, question 1. What are the events or issues that are inspired this cartoon? What do you got, Gracie?
I said Nazi Germany was trying to take over Moscow and it inspired the cartoon.
Yeah, good job. Right. And what was that operation called? You got it. You got it.
The siege of Operation Typhoon.
Typhoon. There you go. Good job. So after the siege of Leningrad, once Germany circulated. There you go. I guess they surrounded Leningrad. They were trying to choke it out. We talked about that a lot already. And Operation Barbarossa is still in effect, and Typhoon is just a branch off of that. Typhoon is trying to take the city of Moscow, take the capital of the Soviets. Okay, and that's what events are being told here, obviously. And we know with this political cartoon, it was obviously difficult for the German army to invade into the Soviet Union because of Old Man Winder. All right, 2. What's the objects or people you see in the cartoon? What do you have here, Kira?
I said the Old Man Winter, the Nazi army, signed when Moscow, Leningrad, and then soldiers.
Yeah, good job. Good job. So Old Man Winder stopping the German army, the Wehrmacht, right? You can see the tank there at the bottom. Nazi panzers being blocked and being shut off, being stopped on its way to Moscow. And up at the top, the RAF. What the heck? Why the RAF? RAF is what? Who's Air Force? Troy?
Great Britain.
Yeah, Great Britain. Why is he up there trying to, why is he doing that, you think? What do you think, Troy?
They don't fully trust Great Britain yet.
All right, yeah, good job. Good job. So we're going to talk about, well, you'll hear it next period, I guess, with the Toronto Conference, but with the Soviet Union, Great Britain, they don't see eye to eye. Okay, there's going to be tensions arising right at the end of World War II that is going to lead right into the Cold War. And these two countries, although they're allies right now in World War II, they're not going to be obviously seeing eye to eye much longer, for very long. Good, good, good. 3, what words or phrases in the cartoon stand out to you? Why do you think so? Autumn, what do you have? Yeah, the Panzers. Okay, so the Nazi Panzers probably signifying the Wehrmacht, the German army. Okay, with Operation Barbarossa, it looks like it's moving pretty good, and all of a sudden just halted real quick by Old Man Winder. Okay, good. And then Old Man Winder, we know, is the elements in the Soviet Union that stopped this advancement. Okay, we talked about that a lot with Operation Barbarossa. That's what really stopped this German army. It was the environment. Okay, up at the top, say the RAF. We talked about that already with number 2. All right, and then at the bottom, you say to Moscow. Okay, with Operation Typhoon and how the German army is trying to take over the capital of the Soviet Union. Good. Okay, I really think that's the only word. Let me see if. Actually, I think that is the only wording there. Is there a title at the bottom? No? Okay. That's what I thought. 4. Are any of the objects used as symbols for something else? What are they and what do they represent? Jeffrey, what do we have?
I have the dead soldiers possibly representing the different battles and different territories that Germany already took over, preceding their attempt to take over Moscow.
Good job. So the dead bodies there at the bottom. All right, good. What else? Griffin?
Old Man Winter because it's representing the harsh winter of Russia and South Germany.
Yeah, good job. Great symbolic meaning there. Gracie?
I said the sign pointing towards Moscow symbolizes the advancement Germany was trying to make.
Yeah, they're pretty close, right? Right, they're almost right up against the doorstep until Old Man Winder stopped the advancement. Good. What else do we have? Kira, what else do you have for that?
I just had the Old Man Winter.
Okay. Bottom? Same thing. So we can say the tank, obviously we talked about already, representing the German army. RAF in the air. Okay, obviously with the Air Force, maybe spying on the Soviet Union, trying to make some runs over, seeing what they're doing. Okay, the trees in the background here maybe shows exactly how underdeveloped the Soviet Union really was. Okay, especially with the landscape of what they're depicting. And it really just seems like it's a hard surface to travel on, especially with the German army trying to travel into the Soviet Union. It was really hard for them to maneuver because a lot of the roads, a lot of the bridges were underdeveloped. Okay, that's really one of the facets, the elements, I guess you could say, that stopped this German army's advancement into the Soviet Union. Was that they were underdeveloped. In a way, I guess you could say that was an advantage that they didn't fully develop. Okay, for their army. All right, good. 5. Explain the main idea of this cartoon. Where are you at, Troy?
The main idea is to choose the harsh winter conditions stopping the Nazi invasion of Moscow.
Yep, good job. Good job. Shows that this was really a true indicator, significance, impact of the German army, that the winter was so harsh and that the German army wasn't prepared for it. Okay, that they thought their blitzkrieg tactics could take over the Soviet Union before the winter even started. That didn't happen. 6. What is a cartoonist's opinion about the topic portrayed in the cartoon? What is a cartoonist's bias or point of view on the event or people in question? What do you have here, Griffin, for 6?
6. Oh, man. I thought it was 25.
Oh.
Yeah,
So what do you think, though? What do you think is his opinion about this topic?
it's saying that Germany won't go to invade Russia because of the winter,
Yeah.
and they think that Russia will be able to withstand Germany.
Good. All right. Yeah. So realistically, when it comes to Soviet Union, one of their main lines of defense is the elements, is the weather, right? Is the environment. Okay. We already talked about with the United States. What protects us? Something that we really don't have to build up. What protects us from the rest of the world? Jeffrey?
How far away we are from the rest of Europe?
Yeah, the Atlantic Ocean, Pacific Ocean. We're so far separated from the rest of the world. That's really a line of defense in itself. Okay. For the Soviet Union, it's the cold weather. Right? It's the cold weather. So that's like a shield preventing any type of incoming attacks or invasions. Okay. And many people take it for granted, like Hitler, right? Okay. Before that, Napoleon, right? I'm sure you guys talked about that a little bit with Mr. Schott. All right. Good. 7. Do you agree or disagree with the cartoonist's opinion? Why or why not? Guess we're back to you, Gracie. What do you think?
I said that I agree with it, that I don't believe Germany would be able to take over Moscow, and they were too weak and the winters were too harsh.
Yeah, good job. So this really was a line of defense. This was a shield protecting the Soviet Union. That although we can maybe talk about the advancements of the German army and how really they were a force to be reckoned with at the start of World War II, there's only so much you can do with weather, right? There's only so much you can do with sub-zero temperatures and heavy winds and obviously impactful snow. Okay, good. 8. How would you change a cartoon? Do not put nothing for your answer. What do you got, Kira? How do you change it?
Like add the city of Moscow rather than just find it.
Yeah, good job. Maybe you could include a little bit more to it. Obviously, maybe showing the devastation leading up to Moscow, which Jeffrey obviously talked about with the symbolic meaning of the dead soldiers there in the bottom left corner of the cartoon. Yeah, maybe you could include a little bit more of the cities. Okay, maybe some of the target points where Germany is looking to try to invade and take over. All right, good job. Is there any question on that full cartoon? All right, like I said, this not only symbolizes Operation Typhoon, but Operation Barbarossa as a whole. The whole invasion of the Soviet Union is impacted by the weather, okay, and how Germany really wasn't prepared for it. All right, good work on that. So I'll have those grades in for you towards the end of class here. Bell ringer for today. Describe Operation Typhoon. What was the goal of this operation? Was this goal achieved? It's like a nice day outside.
It is.
Be a shame if we don't get out. Hopefully Hartman brings his iPad.
You know, you should really look at the aspect of rewarding the students that do the things.
Yeah.
Stay inside.
You're right. You're right. I guess he could just go live when we're outside and get sitting here. How funny would that be?
Maybe he'll bring it up on the morning.
Maybe. All right, here we go. Operation Typhoon. What is it? What is it all about? What was the goal? And was it achieved? Troy, go ahead, buddy.
The goal was Germany to take over Moscow.
Yeah, the capital city, right? Okay. Do you think Hitler, obviously this was a plan for Hitler to try to take over this capital. He thought that the Soviet Union would just fail or just surrender. Okay, give up. Would that be the case, though? Do you think Stalin's going to give up, Gracie? No, why not?
Strong man.
Yeah, he's ruthless, right? He's never going to give up. Okay, he's never going to give up to the German army. He's ruthless. Yeah, good job, good job. All right. And with that being said, Operation Typhoon was successful at first, right? German army was getting closer and closer to the capital city with blitzkrieg tactics and really advancing into the Soviet Union, far up to, the city, the capital, right where they could see it in their eyesight. Okay. There was even reports saying that they could see the domes of many of the buildings, okay, the churches, steeple. I don't know if you guys ever saw pictures of Moscow. Do you ever see it? Like the cool architecture that they have with some of the churches and some of the political buildings. It looks pretty neat, right? And some of the German soldiers, there's perspectives, reports that they could see it in the distance, that they were that close, right? Right, Jeffrey? Yeah, that they were that close that they could just see it, and that they're going to maybe take it over within a couple weeks, maybe days. But what stopped them? What halted them? Go ahead, Gracie. Yeah, the winter, right? The environments, okay? And also, we talked about it, was that the Soviet Union really wasn't developed. Okay, some of the roadways, some of the bridges, some of the forms of transportation was just lacking. It was underdeveloped. Okay, so the German army was really hard and difficult for them to get to it, right? Before the winter, it was really muddy. Okay, it was really just terrible terrain to travel through. And many of the tanks, armored vehicles had to get, they got stuck. And the soldiers needed to do their best to try to push them out of these hard, difficult spots, especially when they're covered in mud. And it really just delayed the advancement. It delayed the invasion. Okay, it stopped the German army from really getting to its target. Right? And not to down them or not, but the Soviet Union, okay, still developing at this time, but they actually did have a lot of successful counter offensives. Okay, they had very superior tanks, which we'll talk about with another battle coming up, right? And they were really well trained with this environment. They lived it, right? They lived in these types of environments for all their lives, for their whole time, obviously. And it was really hard and difficult for the German army to travel in this new type of environment, something so cold, the environment being so cold and devastating. But for the Soviets, this was just another day for them, right? Okay, they're trained in this type of environment, and they can do well under these conditions. All right, so was the goal achieved, Troy? No. All right, no, it wasn't. Okay, so the capital, Moscow, although the German army was really close, they didn't fully take it over. And what did the Soviets do with some of their buildings, some of their, I guess you could say, these key places within Moscow to try to avoid the Luftwaffe from targeting it, from avoiding the artillery shelling of these buildings? Griffin? Yeah. How weird is that, right? There's like, oh, we'll just try to, build a smaller house or a smaller building right next to it, maybe to try to avoid them targeting it. Okay, let's paint the roofs different colors so that they don't obviously pick it out. These are architectural differences and for the German army not to target these political buildings, these places where obviously we have a strong morale in. One in particular is where Lenin was buried, okay, where Lenin was, his body was held. They wanted to make sure that the German army didn't target that and destroy it. So they started to try to, I guess you could say, hide these buildings from plain sight, which I think is really interesting. I think it's like, well, we're just going to paint it different colors. We're going to try to disguise it, and from the eyesight of the German military, the Air Force, the artillery. Gracie, have your hand up?
Didn't they also put up like cross things
Yeah.
to try and stop the tanks?
Yeah, these anti-tank, I guess you'd say, were for them to transport their way through to the city. So there's these big iron crosses, they look like. Okay, they try to barricade it all across the city. They even asked women, children to try to dig trenches and try to make it as hard as they can for the German army to travel in these in this terrain. So digging these trenches, digging these bunkers, these barricades. Okay, it was really a total war at this time. Stalin wanted to make sure the German army never captured the capital, and they did. All right. So German army is going to look towards something different, right? Because even I guess you could say Hitler, if he would have waited it out a bit, maybe eventually he could have took the capital. But we know Stalin was never going to give up. So he aims his direction, his army to a different location. Where is that going to be? Go ahead, Griffin. Stalingrad. Yep, good job. Well, we're going to talk about that today. Stalingrad. All right. There's the bell ringer for today. Terms, just two. That's it. Maybe next week we'll watch a movie. How does that sound? Yeah? Enemy at the Gates. It's about Stalingrad. It's about a Russian sniper, Soviet sniper. I think you guys really enjoy it. And I think we can break up the constant lesson. What do you think? Yeah? All right. That's what we'll do, I guess. I tell you what, these batteries really don't hold strong. There you go. Battle of Stalingrad, the Caucasus. I'll play a clip at the end of class of, from that movie. And it really just shows the Soviets' perspective. Some of these soldiers, that they weren't equipped with weaponry. They had to wait for one of the men to fall over dead, for them to pick up a weapon to fight back. All right, so let's go over this Battle of Stalingrad. What do you have, Jeffrey? What do you got, buddy?
Battle of Stalingrad was battle that took place directly after the failed attempt for them to take over Moscow. It was their attempt to cut off their industrialization. Stalingrad was located right in the Caucasus region.
All right, good job. So it's the really the I guess you could say the gateway to the Caucasus region, where a lot of this resources were located for oil, fueling these militaries, especially Soviet Union. And if Germany can capture it, that will probably end the war on the Eastern Front. Okay, and this will make the German army self-sufficient on oil. Okay, this could prolong the war and allow the German army to just fight one front against the Western powers, Great Britain and the United States. All right, good. And it bears the name of Stalin, right? They named it after Stalin, and this was significant because if Germany can take it over, that's really going to pour salt in the wound to the Soviets. And it was a heavy industrialized area. Rivers all meet there. There's 3 or 4 rivers that meet there, okay? And that's a heavy transport area for the Allied powers, helping out the Soviets fight on the Eastern Front against the Germans. All right, the Caucasus, what do you have here, Griffin?
It's a region between the Black Sea and the Caspian Sea, mainly occupied by Armenia, Georgia, and parts of southern Russia.
Yeah, good job. So right here, guys, right in this area, right between the Black Sea and the Caspian Sea, and that's right below Stalingrad, okay? And that's a region enriched with oil, okay, fuel, resources. And that was a target for the German army, that region right there. Stalingrad, they got to get by it, though, in order to obviously get that resource, get that area. All right, is there any questions on that? You guys good? All right, real quick, just want to go over it with you. I'll just play the video. Most of you already know what Stalingrad's all about. Okay, Stalingrad was really the turning point of the war in Europe. Okay, this is where the German army is going to be halted. This is finally where the Soviets are going to stop this advancement. And from here on out, the Soviets are actually going to be pushing the German army back to their own borders. Right, so this is the turning point in the war. We already talked about the turning point in the Pacific. What was it? What battle was that? Hi, Gracie.
Midway?
Yeah, Midway. Good job. Good job. So right around 1942, 1943, the Allied powers are picking up steam. It looks like the Axis powers are going to be dwindling here at this moment, that they're going to be pushed back to their own borders. For the first time, you see the Allied powers looking like they're going to win this war. Okay, so with Stalingrad, real quick, same thing with what happened in Moscow. The weather. Oh my gosh, the weather. The German army just weren't equipped for this style of fighting. All right, they obviously were receiving negative 20-degree temperature. Okay, many of the people, the Soviets, they were immune to this, right? They were able to live in this type of temperature and environment and fight it, okay, survive. German army, not so much. Lack of resources. Any type of food that they had would just be frozen up. And many of the German soldiers actually died of famine, died of starvation, died of the cold temperature alone. Soviets, they were well prepared for it. They've been living this lifestyle for a long time, obviously, okay? And this was one of the most significant battles because this was the key to the Caucasus. The German army knew that if they could take this city, this would really allow them to be self-sufficient on oil, resources to fuel their military, okay, and fight off the Western powers. Now, if they capture Stalingrad, really the Soviet Union is over with, right? They're done with. Okay, yeah, they're going to still have some sort of army and probably going to fight back the German army. But for the most part, the Germans now then would have these resources that could fuel them to continue this war and prolong it for a long period of time. Maybe to push Great Britain and America to just have a peace treaty and just stop the war right there, okay, which probably would have happened. Also, Stalingrad, like we talked about, was an industrialized area. It's located right along 4 rivers pretty much, connecting to the Black Sea, to the Caspian Sea, and this was a transportation area for the Allied powers that helped fight off the German army in the Eastern Front. The United States supplying the Soviets at this time with different types of armaments and supplies. And Stalingrad was that ticket, was that place, okay? And with this industrial power, they eliminate Stalingrad, there goes really majority of the production to try to fight back the Axis powers, okay? So there goes all the tanks. There goes all the airplanes, all the different types of equipment that are helping fight this war, all taken out right there, right then and there. And one of the key factors was obviously, one of the other pieces to it was Stalingrad, the name alone. Hitler wanted to take Stalingrad because it bared the name of Joseph Stalin, the leader of the Soviet Union. He thought if he takes this would crush the morale of the Soviets. That would push them to just give up. Okay. So what stopped this advancement? Right? Blitzkrieg was running rampant all throughout the Soviet Union. We saw it in Moscow, finally holding them. Okay. But in Stalingrad, even worse. Okay. Hitler really wanted to take this city. He wasn't going to surrender. He wasn't going to give up. He wasn't going to stop pushing his soldiers into this city. One of the main things was, at this moment, the German army has been fighting for 4 years, all throughout Europe, right? They're fighting up into the Scandinavian countries. They're fighting in Poland, right? They're fighting out in northern France. They were obviously laying waste to Great Britain with blitzkrieg tactics and the Blitz. They're all over Europe, and now all of a sudden they're fighting in a new environment on the Eastern Front. So do you think these soldiers are tired? Oh, heck yeah, right? They want to go home. They want to see their families. They're just kind of like, here we are fighting again, fighting longer. Been away from home for 4 years, okay? And now fighting in this area with the temperature below freezing. We're not equipped for it, and the food is frozen over. There's no food, right? Many of the tanks shut down, just stopped. Okay, obviously, like I said, the transportation, the forms of transportation were very weak in the Soviet Union. Okay, many of the roads were just unusable, untravelable. Okay, and because many of these tanks being stuck in the mud and stuck in these areas, sooner or later, with negative 20-degree temperature, it would freeze over, and these tanks would just shut down on the battlefield. Right, constant snow, right, cloud cover. So the Luftwaffe, you couldn't use it. You couldn't see the targets below. You could target, and you could maybe actually destroy many of your own soldiers. Friendly fire, right? If they just bombed without seeing anything. So the cloud cover allowed for Stalingrad to be protected, okay, and prevent the German army from really bombing many major targets. Also, the Soviets, obviously living underground, right? They're living in these different types of sewer tunnels in a way. Right? And they were actually attacking, counteroffensing many of the German army using the sewer system, using the tunnels below the ground and trying to outflank them. And they're fighting home to home. It's the first time really we see urban-style fighting in World War II. Okay, and it was really hard for the German army to just push right through the city without any type of artillery, without any type of, obviously, the Luftwaffe, okay, using it. Obviously bombing the Soviets and loosening them up. There really wasn't any type of benefit for the German army at this moment. Okay. So with Stalingrad, like I mentioned, the Soviets, they just had millions and millions of soldiers, troops that Stalin was just going to keep throwing out in the front lines until the city was saved, until the city was actually protected from the German army. And we'll see it in this video here I want to show you, is that many of these Soviets, they weren't equipped with weaponry, with any types of guns. Right? They're actually advised, hey, if your comrade falls over, if he gets killed, pick up his gun. That's yours. Right? And they're actually fighting over the weapons on the battlefield. It was interesting to see. Okay, some of the Soviets actually fighting for a gun on the ground against their own comrades, against their own friends to continue to fight, to try to protect themselves. And there's no surrender, right? There's no fleeing. If you try to get up and run away, what do you think happened to you, Jeffrey? What would your official behind you, your general behind you, your captain, what would they do to you if you try to flee and run away? They'd kill you, right? Unbelievable, unbelievable. But all in all, the weather, right? The Soviets were well prepared for it. And they lived in this environment for a long time. And with the environment, the German army couldn't use their Luftwaffe. Their tanks were stuck in the mud, frozen, really shut. They couldn't move, right? That's what really stopped this advancement here. Oh, nice you join us. Just got done with a lesson. It's like you're out there waiting here with a cup against the door. Thank you. All right, I'll play this video for you now. Tomorrow, I will have a reading for you, so make sure you guys remember that. I finished that up. I won't be here tomorrow, so make sure you guys get that done.